Welcome back to Armored Warfare. I am still taking a look at the ice tanks which were released yesterday with the release of patch 0.12. Now, I have played at least 2 matches in each of these, and I have decided to post a couple of highlights illustrating the way these tanks handle. The first one we'll be taking a look at is the Leopard 2 AV on the Stormy Winter map. And here we are on Stormy Winter in my Leopard 2 AV. As I'm moving towards these buildings over here, I spot 3 enemies at the same time. Backing off a little, I'd pay attention to this T-72A first, but my first shot bounces. His shot gets absorbed by the truck that was between us, and my second one kills him. Now I'm going to pay attention to this starship, but not to my minimap. So I entirely missed that 3 enemies just popped up on my left flank. I eat one from the starship and one from the Chieftain Mark V to my side, and there's my first bounce. Now the starship is going down any second here. There we are. And I'm going to pay attention to this Chieftain Mark V who bounces another shot at me. The frontal armor of the Leopard 2 AV is really quite good. The reload also noteworthy. With 6.54 seconds it actually reloads faster than a couple of the light tanks I have been driving. I'm trying to see if perhaps the enemy who is just coming around this building could be shot through this wall here, but he doesn't seem to be advancing as fast as I had hoped. And now there's this T-72A to contend with. I got one right between the tracks and the top of this hull, and as I said, my reload is so quick, I get another one in before he can retreat into cover, and my teammates finish him up. Now there's the gap in the wall that I couldn't see earlier, and now I can shoot at the Chieftain Mark V. Unfortunately, my heat ammunition isn't perfectly suited for this situation, and my shot bounces. I'm going to move around to the side here and see if I can do some damage before I take that secondary objective down there. And I am going to be backed up by my Typhoon friendly over here. There's the Chieftain again, and he's down. And I think this is the right time for me to go to the secondary objective, just as another enemy tank pops up right over there. I'm going to take a shot, do some good damage, but he's unfortunately not down yet, and I fear return fire, so I go down towards the secondary objective, which gets immediately stolen by one of my armored fighting vehicle compatriots. That's fine though, since secondary objective, as far as I am aware, don't actually award any personal experience, only contribute to the team effort. I'm going to waste a heat ammunition shot, taking down that secondary objective. And now we have clipped the cap circle for the first time, which is going to trigger a wave of spawns. And there's the first of them. I'm trying to get the front of my tank turned towards him again, because the Leopard 2 AV has good frontal armor, but not so great at the sides and rear. And indeed, I believe I just bounced another shot, wasn't entirely certain there. But I took no damage, and that's the important part. A VFM-5 can be a dangerous foe. Got another one down, that is my 6th kill this map. And there's a main battle tank. It's already dead because my teammates in this match were really rather quite good. And I take another really bad shot. The expeditionary tank hit me with armor piercing for 353 damage. In return, I kill him, as is the way of the Armored Warfare veteran. Okay, and now our cap circle is being besieged by 4 enemy tanks, and I'll have to see what I can do about that. That guy unfortunately is too low for me to hit. The Leopard doesn't have the best gun depression in the game, and of course he was behind this incline over there. However, this Begleitpanzer is absolutely going to die, and as I move forwards and back, my friendly teammates take him down. And that's the end of the match. As you can see, the Leopard 2 AV is a pretty good tank. Not perfect in any way, but he can bounce a couple of shots every once in a while, and his gun is absolutely nothing to be laughed at. The next one we'll be taking a look at is the T-72 on the quarterback map. Now, I'm going to move up on this hill with the rock covering my flank, put one into this guy here, but take some return fire which bounces. The T-72 is also extremely well armored, And he's also quite nicely sloped. Everything about this tank, especially the turret, is quite round. I take one to the side there from the M60, but I give as good as I get and move right back behind this rock to cover my flanks. The reload on this tank is not quite as good as it was on the Leopard, but still 9 seconds isn't too bad. And I bounce another shot, get another one in. In this tank you can pretty much, if you know where the enemy is going to shoot you from, duel it out 1v1 without taking too much damage from pretty much anything unless they hit a weak spot. Now this guy is going to die before I can get a shot in, because he's moving right into the fire of my friendlies here. Switching to a little later in the map, we have just begun to cap the cap circle for the first time, and a couple of enemies have spawned in return. I'm going to move forward here behind these canisters, cargo containers, and try and get some more shots in. But of course the tank hull traverse isn't too great, so I have to be careful to angle my approach so that I can turn the front of my tank towards the enemy as quickly as possible when I get outflanked, and finally take the second shot that does damage in this match. The third one bounces once again. Really, I believe in this particular match I had a damage to bounce ratio of something like 5 or something. So for these 311 damage I took, I believe I'm going to take a little more. I bounced just over 2,500, I believe. So the T-72 can take a beating if you angle it right. This guy over there is safe from my return fire because of the concrete pillar between him and me. And coming around this side, I'm going to find out that there's not just this one guy, but that he's also brought a couple of friends with him. And
identified target.
Sorry, first of all I'm going to take care of this guy. But I don't penetrate, his return fire doesn't penetrate. My next shot is going to penetrate but not kill him, because it only hits the tracks. Wonderful, isn't it? Yes, the moving accuracy of this tank could be better, and with the 9-second reload time I couldn't get a shot in before he disappeared behind these containers. And now he's dead, but like I said, there are friends on the way. Here we are. That one was a high explosive shot which only did 13 damage points, so wasn't worried about that. Let's see if we can... Nope. Once again, the kill is stolen right from under our noses. Okay, what's next? Just a couple of empty roads ahead of me. I really have no idea where this guy disappeared to. I believe he was actually killed by my team. Okay, so I decide to head back to the cap circle, because that's where the action is going to be. And indeed, my friendly over there has already encountered his next victim, but can't really seem to kill him. There was one shot that did damage, one shot that didn't, and another one that seems to have apparently completely missed. So I take him down for him, because I'm just a nice teammate like that. And there's a Gleitpanzer 57 who I have just turned my front towards, so that when his return fire inevitably comes, I'm going to, hopefully, yep, there we are, bounce it. And now he's down. While I was zoomed in, 2 more tanks have spawned. I was wondering why my friend in the tank destroyer wasn't shooting at these guys. So I take another one. Beautiful 610 damage done. That was a good hit. And my friend finished him off for me. Let's take care of this Sheridan for a second. And he was dead before the shell was even in the air. Yeah, so the reload time and the moderate aiming time of this tank are its main weak spots. The armor is absolutely beautiful to work with. The mobility is fair. The turret traverse could definitely be better. The hull traverse could definitely be better, but it doesn't feel slow and clunky. And as you can see there, even with the relatively slow aiming time, you can occasionally get a pretty cool trick shot. Alright, I think this match is about done. We have 1 second left, and we switch over to the next tank. Here we are on the new map Starry Night in the M60 A3. Personally, I believe this is my favorite tank of the bunch from the ice pack, because for one, it just looks absolutely massive with the explosive reactive armor plating, which interacts very nicely with the camo scheme, and with the kind of shortened design compared to other tanks. It just looks really like a pit bull waiting to pounce, of course, in the snow. Um, the armor and angling, oh, sorry, the sloping are also quite pleasant. The reload is very quick at 5.85 seconds, the way I outfitted it. The damage it does is alright, it's not spectacular, but with the fast reload, the damage per minute is actually really good. I have nothing bad to say about this tank, basically. There we are, just 6... oh, sorry, how long into the game? Not even a minute into it, and I have not taken a single point of damage, done 1.4 thousand damage. Now somebody has spawned just behind me, and I am afraid of getting shot in the rear, so I'm moving forward in hopes to get this wall behind me, but I am stopped by the debris and take one to the front. High explosive, 9 damage. Not worried at all. And from the guy who was just spawning behind me, I am now shielded, but there's an enemy, a BMP-2, right ahead of me. But as you can see, no damage done. Absolutely nothing. Right, let's see what this is. A VFM Mark V. My personal favorite tank before the release of the ice packs. Now, this guy is going to shoot me in the front, I think, 2 times. Never is going to penetrate, while I take him down with absolute ease. The M60 A3 is just wonderful to work with, especially in these tight city maps. Of course, if you have played Starry Night before, only the first part of the map is actually in these tight city parts. As you move towards the north, you're going to be faced with wide open fields and some hilly terrain, a couple of traps, I would say, especially that water trap that is right between the second objective point and the city map where you start. It's absolutely possible for an inattentive tank driver to just drown himself down there. Okay, but my teammates are spotting, and I get another kill. That's 3 within the last 2.5 minutes, I believe it is now. And there we are. These open ranges are just a killing ground. I misjudged my lead time there a little bit. If that had been armor piercing, I would have gotten him. But my second one doesn't miss. Actually damages his ammo rack. And there we are. I was very surprised to get that kill, because my friend in the autocannon was shooting him as well, and generally speaking, when a tank is at such low health, the autocannon is get the kill every time. Not this time. There's this lake I was talking about. If you come down from the city and head towards the secondary objective point, it's super easy to misjudge the terrain in front of you and just fall into that lake. I haven't personally done it, but I have seen it done by one of my teammates. Alright, so if you look to the left as soon as I unzoom here, there's 2 kills with 1 shot. That was quite beautiful. If you look to the left as soon as I unzoom here, you're going to see that there are a couple of hills over there, a crested ridge line with some woods. There you are. And there are apparently, despite the announcement that patch 0.12 would change up the spawn locations, there are always 2 to 3 at least. I believe it's always 3, but one time we only found 2. Artillery up there. So if you can send a spotter over there early, that is quite valuable, because the artillery can be a pain in the ass depending on where exactly they decide to focus their attention. Generally towards me, I believe. In this match they are thankfully leaving me more or less alone. Moving on, our next tank is the OF-40, also on the Starry Night map. And this time I have skipped the town portion of it, getting right towards the secondary objective. There you can see one of my friends, the Leopard one, has dunked himself into the lake, but fortunately he had the mobility to get back out again. Let's see if we can get some good sniping shots in this tank.
Loader, stable. Target hit.
There we are, 5.9 seconds, 5.94 seconds of reload time. Really lends itself to some experimental shots, especially with the very quick travel time of these shells. I'm sorry. You can usually get some good shots at range, I have found. Now, in this particular match, I am going to be kicking it back here for the time being, but in a second I'm going to move forward.
Identify target.
Apparently in a couple of seconds. I'm going to move forward to try and spot for my team, especially the artillery up on that ridge, which I have spoken about before, but also because I know that even despite the changes to the spawns in 0.12, still the enemy is going to spawn on that other side of the river over there from the south a lot of the time. There are variations to this. A couple of them are going to continue to be spawned at the north side, but most of them will be approaching from the south, and somebody needs to spot them. Why not me? Okay, cap is safe for now, and I decide that it's time to head over there to the western side of the map and see what I can find for my team to shoot at. There's another BMP-1, I believe that was. He is already gone, and a Guide Panzer 57. Alright, that taken care of. These enemies just seem to keep popping up. If you haven't played Starry Night, it's a pretty cool map. I believe it will make many people happy because it features such varied terrain, from the tight confines of the city in the beginning to the open ranges that you can find here in the second part. But also, there are just so many enemies to shoot at. You will never be wanting for a target for very long. I believe this stretch here, where I'm going to cross the bridge, is the longest I have ever gone in this entire map without actually having anything to shoot at. And there we are, the next spawn, an M60 A3. That's quite a mouthful, of course. Alright, but my actual goal are the artillery guys up there. There's another one, AMX-10P PAC-90 once again. And there you are. My team is definitely paying attention, and they might be wondering why a main battle tank is heading upwards to a spot for them, but they don't seem to be complaining. Their guns are always pointed at what I am spotting for them, and I definitely appreciate it. Right, very soon I should be able... There we are, my first artillery. I ignore the two tanks down there, just because I want to get a shot in at the artillery. Not in time, however, and I took a couple of hits there. The OF-40 is not quite as bouncy as the previous Leopard, or the M60 A3, or indeed the T-72. Still, it can take this position here right at the front, spot the enemies, and reasonably expect to be alive at the end of it. Also, the gun seems to be quite good. Apart from the fast reload, very fast aiming time, very tight aiming circle, it just seems to penetrate quite well. Maybe this has to do with the lower tier tanks that we are mostly encountering here, but still. I have not found any reason to complain about the OF-40 in that regard. Wish it was a little tankier, but then again, the other tanks in the ice pack are so tanky that I don't really mind too much. Alright, I believe this southern part has dried up a little here, and finally I spot the next artillery. But I can't get a shot in. I don't have the angle, and there's a Scorpion behind me who just tracked me. Okay, still, not to worry. I took a total of 903 damage in this match and did 7,439, so I can live with this ratio. And my Trax is repaired. The Scorpion is not going to kill me anytime soon because he is firing high explosive and doing minimal damage, so not worried in any way. And he is dead because my teammates are paying attention. But I have lost spotting on this artillery here, and I'm now going to move forward to try and re-spot him. If I don't get him, at least somebody should... And I don't know what happened there. As far as I know, the artillery wasn't dead at this point, and the timer of the cap circle was definitely not running out yet. We had over 50 seconds left. No idea why that match ended, but still. Let's get over to the next one, the Object 430, a tank which in this non-ice edition I have played a couple of times previously and quite enjoyed. Once again, we're going to start from the beginning of the map with the city portion in front of us. And just look at this turret. It does look like somebody gift wrapped it with a bow, doesn't it? Alright, anyway, we're going to head to the other side of the map this time, because I spawned as the southernmost guy in my team. And it appears that somebody in the Type 59 is possibly a Jingles fan. Right, because I feel the need to answer them, I miss getting my first shot at this tank here, but the M41 is thankful for the surprise butt sex he just received. Alright, let's see if we can kill him. Unfortunately, I just tracked him. But still, with just a couple seconds into the match, we've already done some damage. Wonderful. And there's the first kill. Alright, so I took one hit by now from the BMD-1, a high explosive shell hit, which did 12 damage, so can't really say much about this, except that high explosive doesn't generally bounce, and since it only did such little damage, that speaks for the quality of the armor. Alright, now we are choking ourselves a little bit here, but I still get a good shot in and kill my second guy of the match. Couldn't actually see where that bounced from, but I believe the Type 59 was responsible for that. The Type 59 is also going to be featured in this replay right after this one. Not going to say anything right now, because we'll focus on the Object 430. The city part of this match was over surprisingly quickly, I have to say, and we'll now move on towards the open ground, where I will almost make the mistake of driving myself into that lake I have mentioned previously. There we are. I noticed it just in time, turned towards the side, and because the Object 430 is really quite a mobile main battle tank, there was absolutely no problem. I really dig the detail they paid here with the corn, and that it gets destroyed by you driving through it. That is nice. And there's the only raid boss I encountered in the ice tank test matches at all. Alright, but we'll take him down, no problem, of course. If you take a look at the northern end of the map, there are some pretty nice hills there. There we are, just back there where the house was burning right now. If you are playing artillery in this map, I believe that would be quite a nice spot to set ourselves up for the last part, for the third objective part. Because from there you have a pretty clear shot towards the southeastern avenue of approach, where most of the enemies are going to be coming from. Just as a side note, because this map is quite new. You will of course find your own favorite spots to hide out in. Okay, I tried out the auto-aim function right here, but that absolutely didn't work. Despite the outline being displayed all the time, this guy was actually behind a hill in cover. Alright. Now let's see what my team is going to do here. Can they get him before I can? Unfortunately, yes. But still, it's good to have. It's nice to have good teammates, alright. And I also like that just the way that you could flatten this corn, you can squash these pumpkins. It's just a little detail, but not every developer in the world would have made this extra bit of effort. Alright, the MP1 is down, and I'm going to try and see if maybe I can figure out where the artillery is hiding out. Couldn't see them at first, and there's another target, so no artillery kills for me then. Now here we are in the Type 59, the tank that everybody gets for free for logging in before January the 3rd, 2016. This tank is apparently famous, although honestly, because I haven't played any other tank games besides Armored Warfare, I couldn't exactly tell you why. But it is definitely popular. In most of the games I've played, there was at least one Type 59. Once I got into a match with 3 Type 59s. So maybe it's just because it's free, but people are definitely playing this a lot. And I'm going to take a look at why it is so popular here.
Otherwise,
Now the top
PLM will
speed
control oil prices for
of
the entire
32
region.
kilometers on this terrain
I don't recommend the
is
front
fair.
door.
The turret
luck.
and hull traverse seem to be reasonable. As far as I remember from my previous video, the armor value wasn't quite up to snuff, but
Looks like
the
PLM had a backup
gun
plan to escape
with its
supplies. If you take them all out, I'll
6.8, I
throw in a
believe,
bonus.
second reload. Yes, 6.8 second reload is reasonable.
Threat destroyed.
The aiming time seems also to be quite okay. Not spectacular, of course, but it is a main battle tank, not a tank destroyer, so that's to be expected. Right. And actually, I'm just going to let you watch the rest of this video in silence. I've already told you what I think of the Type 59. It's a solid tank and definitely worth the asking price of $0.00. But it's not spectacular, and I personally prefer the ice tanks, not just for the prettier camo scheme, in my personal opinion, but also because the Type 59 just doesn't seem spectacular in any particular way. It's not as bouncy as most of the ice tanks are, the damage isn't perfect. It's a good tank, it's not great. Alright, have fun watching the rest of the video if you would like, and thank you for watching. Until next time, 07 to you out there.
Loading. Threat destroyed. Load AP. Load AP. Loader AP. Ricochet, no effect. Target down.
Good work. That should slow them down for a while.
Loader AP. Identify target. Hostile tank. Load HE. Identify. Hostile tank. Ammo up. Direct hit. Loader AP. Identify. Hostile target hit. Load AP.
All right, Black Company, you're in position. Hold for air support. Incoming hostiles.
Direct hit. tank. Loader, AP. Target locked on. Enemy destroyed. Identify. Hostile tank. Ricochet, no effect. Loader, AP. Identify target. Hostile tank.